Hi, everyone. Welcome. It's great to have you here today. My name is Aaliyah Schneckenberger, and I support mid-market content at Intuit. And we're really excited to bring you this special event sponsored by Intuit Enterprise Suite. If you're a CEO, a CFO, or a key decision maker of a company that makes $2.5 million or more in annual revenue, this is the right place for you. Here at Intuit, we know as businesses grow, it's an exciting time, but it can often be a journey that's fraught with unknowns. We've decided to put together this series of webinars to celebrate the success of your growth and also address some of the challenges we know that all of you could be facing. And most importantly, as your partner, Intuit, we want to provide you with some solutions. Intuit Enterprise Suite is a configurable AI-powered business platform that brings together all of your financial, payroll, HR, marketing, and cash flow tools in one place and offers a new way to partner with Intuit through dedicated success managers. With your tools and data connected, the platform streamlines operations, increases productivity, and improves decision-making with business intelligence and insights for your next phase of growth. Throughout this series, you'll have the opportunity to see Intuit Enterprise Suite in action through demos by our resident experts and a whole lot more. I'm joined today by two of my colleagues, Jamie and Matt. I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
Yeah, hi, I'm Jamie Huster. I'm Senior Manager of Mid-Market Research, and I'm a little new to the Intuit world, but I'm jumping right in and letting you know we've got some great insights to share today and really looking forward to this opportunity today to talk with you directly. Matt, why don't you introduce yourself?
Thank you. Yeah, so, very similar to Jamie, excited about today. I've been with Intuit just coming up on 25 years, and, Intuit Enterprise Suite is just an amazing, new product that's come from a lot of, customer research, insights. As businesses continue to grow and scale, they definitely have unique challenges. So super excited today to hear a little bit about those challenges from our panel, and then even get into the product and show you a few ways we can help minimize, reduce, or even eliminate those challenges for you.
Awesome. Thanks both. Let's dive into our agenda and a little bit about what you can expect today. So first, we'll break down the challenges specifically around cash flow. We know you all have challenges around late payments, high overhead, limited access to financing, economic uncertainty, and rapid growth. Matt will then show us how Intuit Enterprise Suite can help overcome some of these cash flow challenges. And then we'll talk about multi-entity foundations and consolidated reporting. As we all know, it's so critical to have the ability to consolidate data across multiple entities to better understand your business and contribute to growth. This will allow you to better understand your target customers, which will likely help you improve retention. It will also help in making smarter business decisions, boosting operational and marketing efficiencies. Also, when you have a better insight into your data, you can predict trends and you can optimize your pricing, which everybody loves. And then Matt will go into the demo and show us how Intuit Enterprise Suite can help unlock the power of your data. And then we'll wrap, and hopefully everyone will learn something. And now, Jamie, I'm going to pass it to you.
Great. Thanks, Aaliyah. Let's talk about cash flow. We know growing businesses often face significant challenges with cash flow, which can hinder growth and sustainability. First off, irregular revenue streams. Many businesses don't have consistent revenue streams, especially in seasonal industries. This makes it hard to predict and plan for expenses. We're going to touch on this a little later when we talk about using data to leverage its business insights and make better informed decisions. Second, delayed client payments. Late paying customers or long payment terms can leave a business without the cash it needs to pay its own bills, despite having made sales and revenue. In fact, over half of businesses surveyed this past April say they're owed money from unpaid invoices that are overdue by 30 or more days. Matt, you're out there talking to businesses all the time. Is this something you've been hearing?
Yeah, it's a really good point, Jamie. Whether you're a small business or a larger growing business, this is just something every business faces. But of course, that problem, if you're sending out 10 invoices a month versus 100 or 1,000, obviously that becomes a much bigger issue. But yeah, businesses having a long accounts receivable, waiting to get access to that cash and that revenue, is a huge problem. And if you don't have the right tools in place, it only gets bigger. It scales with you as you scale. So excited today to talk a little bit about how we can use some technology to shrink that problem down to a more manageable size or eliminate it altogether.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, that's very insightful. So a third challenge that businesses are facing is high overhead. Fixed expenses like rent, utilities, and salaries and benefits have to be paid regardless of income. If revenue dips even temporarily, these costs can strain cash flow. Some recent Intuit research has shown that 59% of businesses are concerned about increases in operating expenses over the next 3 months. That's pretty startling. A fourth challenge is limited access to credit. The struggle is real when it comes to securing lines of credit or loans, especially if you have limited credit history. Without financing, it's harder to bridge the cash flow gaps. In these instances, owners are often tapping into their own money as a solution, are using businesses' cash reserves. In fact, some April Intuit research revealed that 40% are using business owners' own money as a solution, and that's pretty daunting and not the best way to be operating. Fifth, unexpected expenses. Emergencies like equipment fails, legal issues, data breaches, or sudden market changes can quickly drain available cash if there's no buffer or reserve. Business should really have 6 months of operating expenses in reserve, but not all businesses can manage to do that. And of course, inflation is really an ongoing concern, particularly in this climate. Some recent research has shown that 56% of mid-market businesses cite inflation as their greatest overall concern right now. So now that we've talked challenges, Matt, let's turn to you for some solutions.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Give me just a moment here. We're going to open up our demo environment, and then we'll talk a little bit about that and how we'd kind of like to set up, talking about our cash flow and some of the challenges we faced. When you think about an accounting system, we're going to kind of talk about cash flow from the very beginning, sending out, obviously, a sales, sending out an invoice. If you don't have invoices, if you don't have revenue coming in, of course, that's going to seriously impede cash flow. But that's also one of the first places we can put a little technology into use to improve cash flow. And then we'll also talk about a few things like how we can automate that cash flow. As we talked about earlier, no matter the size of your business, there's typically a cash flow tail or several cash flow past due invoices or upcoming due invoices to you that you need to chase. Calling customers, reaching out to them. We'll show you a little bit about some more tools we can use to help you automate that part of the process. And then lastly, how can we plan ahead for cash flow? Like you said, a little harder to plan for those unexpected expenses, but as you learn about expenses, how can we plan for those and be in a better position to know, can we cover that ourselves? Do we need to reach out for a line of credit or a loan? Or can we kind of move pieces around the chessboard, so to speak, and then cover it ourselves? So let's get started. Where it all starts is with an invoice. So let's step over to our invoices. And of course, you can create an invoice, very simple to do. In this case, we're going to go ahead and just open up an existing one. But one of the nice things that we do when it comes to invoicing with this product is we give you the ability, as you're creating the invoice and as you send it out to your customer, you'll notice down here at the bottom, when that invoice gets to your customer, several options will pop up for them. Using a credit card, a lot of businesses have an Amex. They love those rewards points. If they have a certain purchasing card. We support most major credit cards, as well as, we also support EFTs or electronic funds transfers. This is proven to get customers paid 2 to 3 times faster because they really like the flexibility, the ease of this. Instead of having to, print out an invoice and do the paper check and mail it back and, that whole process. Now they can simply just click on a button, put in their company purchasing card or corporate card, or put in their EFT information, and the invoice is paid. So this is step one, and kind of making chasing accounts receivable just a bit easier. But again, it doesn't stop there. Let's talk about a couple other things. As we mentioned in the middle part of cash flow is really about, automating that workflow. And super excited to talk to you about some of our workflow automations. As you can see here, instead of having your employees tied up, making phone calls, not the highest value work, important work, because you need that cash, you need that invoice to be paid. But how about we have the software help automate that for you? Well, that's exactly what our workflow automation does. And we'll talk about this just a little bit. The way that a lot of my customers have really got excited and benefited from using this is, when it comes to cash flow, we'll just go over here to a custom workflow just to show you a couple of things real quick. But on an invoice, you can send a reminder. So let's say you're 3 days before that invoice is due. You can send a friendly reminder out to your clients or customers and let them know, hey, your invoice payment is due in 3 days. You could also send them a reminder that it's due today. And then maybe a couple or 3 days afterwards, send them a reminder that it's overdue. Again, this is a way that you can have your software automatically chase. And of course, you don't have to use the time frames that I set out. It was just an example. But whatever makes sense for you and your customers and clients, you can simply set up these automated reminders. Every time you create a new invoice, it'll know, hey, 3 days out, day due, 3 days after it's due. And again, now you've just automated chasing your accounts receivable versus, having to pick up the phone and have your staff focused on that. Free up their time and help them go do more important things for the business. But lastly, we want to talk about how do we help you out when it comes to managing cash flow, as well as, putting in some of those predictable upcoming expenses, or even, maybe you're thinking about doing something. Maybe you're thinking about expanding to a second location, or maybe, there's something. How do you take all that into account? Well, right here, you'll notice there's a cash flow. And this cash flow versus the planner, let's just talk about the two, how they're different for a real quick second. This is your actual cash flow. This is feeding in from your bank accounts. It's taking into consideration things like bills, receivables, payables, all that. And this is your actual real cash flow and a little bit of a trend line. But when we go into planner, this is where it gets really exciting. This is a sandbox environment. Whatever you do in here doesn't affect your books. It's really just for you to do just what it says, sit down and plan out different scenarios. Well, how do you plan out those scenarios and see how it's going to affect your cash flow? Well, here you can see where you can add an item. And the nice thing about this is it doesn't just have to be expenses. I think a lot of people do use it for expenses, but sometimes you're going to land that next big customer contract or that really big client that you've been working on for 6 months or maybe a couple years. And that's really exciting. So you can either put the amount of money in that's going to be coming to you. So let's say we just landed a $75,000 contract. That's awesome. We definitely want to take that into account on our cash flow, and we can do that there. But let's say we know we have some money out expenses, and this could be all sorts of things. Maybe you need new printers for the office. Maybe you need a new fleet truck. Maybe you're opening up to that second location. But just to keep it simple and to show a little bit of the flexibility here, let's say that you want to buy a new fleet truck for your business, and you're not going to buy it all at one time. You want to, again, spread out that cash flow. So you can even set up a monthly payment. You can put how often this is going to happen. Did you finance it for 48 months, whatever the case may be, 60 months? What's the monthly payment? Okay. And so now you could actually set this up, and then this will, again, go into your cash flow and tell you, hey, by adding these expenses, by adding this income, how am I going to look? And again, it's not hitting any of your books. It's not, it's just that really nice environment for you to get that forward-looking view into some what if scenarios for your business, and then you can manage more appropriately your cash flow and know, hey, can I cover it if I move some pieces around? Can I cover it if I bought that truck next month versus this month? Or, should I go ahead and talk to my bank about a line of credit, or even talk to QuickBooks? We have some different ways we can help you with a line of credit. And because we have access to your finances, some really good things. But I think we'll touch a little bit more about that here in the next segment. So I'll go ahead and turn it back to Jamie to take us through some more customer insights.
Matt, I just want to interject there. So I think that was awesome. And I just think it's more of that idea of proactive versus reactive, right? And so having the ability to kind of look at, if I do X, Y, and Z, how is that going to impact is so great with this product, right? I just kind of struck me as you're going through it.
Oh, yeah. I appreciate that. I think that's where a lot of our customers really struggle, Aaliyah, at least from talking with them. They're trying to do this in Excel. They're trying to do it in their mind. They don't have really great tools. And so a lot of times what happens is, it's the end of the quarter, it's the end of the year. And now it's that rear view. Like you said, it's that reactive view. So I love that. And these tools really do help you to be more proactive. So thank you.
Now let's talk about one of my favorite topics as a researcher, data and insights. We know businesses like yours don't always have a bird's eye view of how their business is performing. And this can really have an impact on operational efficiencies, can slow down decision-making, and potentially impact steady growth. This can lead to three big challenges. First, poor financial planning. Lack of proper budgeting, forecasting our financial management systems can lead to overspending or not anticipating upcoming cash shortages. Businesses are often held back because they can't predict costs or profit margins when creating estimates. Our research shows that 42% of business leaders report difficulty in accessing and managing data across various devices, profiles, and locations. Matt, does this really resonate for you? Is any of this what you're hearing from businesses?
Yeah, I think this is one of the most, interesting things that's taken me back. We one time did what we call customer follow me homes, where we talked to several of our customers and we just asked them a simple question. How many apps does it take you to run your business? And I was thinking, maybe 2, 3, 4, maybe a half a dozen. But when customers started saying they were using 10, 15, 20, sometimes 25 apps to run their business, then the next logical question became, well, how do you bring all that data back together and how do you get insights from it? And of course, there became the really big struggle. So yeah, planning ahead, not having access to your data, having your data in a bunch of different data silos, if you will. It makes it really, really tough. So this is a very timely topic.
Yeah, for sure. Second, lack of customer understanding. Understanding customer data, demographics, behavior, and purchase history helps reveal preferences, habits, and needs, ultimately allowing you to better serve your customer. Having an effective feedback loop to capture these customer insights is also essential in understanding unmet customer needs, as well as helping you to optimize your products or services. And finally, less operational efficiency. Data from sales, inventory, logistics can help streamline operations and cut costs, improve productivity, enhance profitability. Breaking down data silos across departments, like Matt mentioned, can dramatically improve efficiency.
Now we're going to dive a little bit more deeply into some foundations for multi-company, specifically around reporting.
Yeah. So, you bring up, a good point, Aaliyah. How do we really maximize our system when it comes to having more than one business? It's getting more and more popular to hedge liabilities instead of having one very big business to have multiple LLCs. And so, yeah, we want to talk about that today, a little bit about, those foundations. How do you set up those foundations with our software? Then how do you account for multi-company, the individual companies, as well as then rolling up to a multi-company level, as well as how do you share expenses? That's a big thing that happens when you have more than one business. And then lastly, again, that reporting, how can we really get those insights and understand what's going on with the multiple businesses? So let me go ahead and share my screen like we have done before. So let's go ahead and get started with what we were talking about, the foundations, first of all. When it comes to setting up the foundations of this, there's several things that we've added in this software to help you out. First off, let's talk about when it comes to multiple entities. Of course, you have a tab, but the first thing you're going to want to do is assign all of your different companies. And so to be able to do that, basically it's your org chart. Go there real quick and show you. So here's where you can see all your different businesses that you have in your Intuit Enterprise Suite. We do have a parent-child relationship. And as you can see here, each EIN or each entity has its own unique number. That way you can tie your own bank accounts to each business you have or entity you have, as well as you can tie all the different transactions. But it also allows us, as we'll show you in a little bit, to roll things up for that multi-company reporting and really doing it instantly versus a lot of the manual work you used to have to do before. So if we back up just a little bit, let's talk a little bit more about a few other foundations. One other foundation we'll want to set up is intercompany account mapping. And basically what this is, when you have multiple businesses, you can have, different ways you've described things on your chart of accounts. So the chart of accounts may not always map perfectly by letter or by account name. And so if there's any variances in the way you've set up operating income, expense accounts, etc., with this intercompany mapping, it lets you make sure that it knows across all the businesses, if there's those variances, how to account for them. Again, what does that set up the foundation to do? Well, as we'll talk about in just a little bit, the ability to do intercompany transactions, to do manual eliminations, which is really important when we get to the last piece we're going to talk about is the reporting. But one last thing on foundations before we move into the accounting piece of this. Lastly, getting all your users set up. This is part of setting up and really being able to maximize the effectiveness of your multi-company subscription. And so what we've done here is, if we go to roles real quick, you'll notice a number of different roles. When we go back to users, we'll add a user. Let's say just for today's purposes, that's going to be me. Of course, I'm already set up as a user in the account, so we won't save this. But again, for you, you would put in your employee's first name, last name, email address. And what's nice is when you have multiple businesses, instead of having to go into each business and add them, jumping through multiple files, you can actually go right here and select what businesses do they need to have access to. And when you click on add companies, you see how it added all of those companies. And then the other thing we notice with multi-company management is you can have different roles and responsibilities. Maybe in one business, you're a bookkeeper. Maybe in another one, you're the in-house accountant. Maybe in one other, you're the bill approver, and on down the road. So again, you can set up a user across multiple companies. If they have the same role, that's fine. You can add the same role across all companies, or you can even individualize what they'll be doing for each one of your separate companies. That way, when they log in, they only can do and see exactly what you want them to. So again, that'll really wrap up our foundations. Because I'm already a user, I'm not going to save myself. But let's go back to multi-entity and get into that next piece, which is really the account. Now that we've set up the foundation, now that we're ready, very exciting, and a big expense comes in. Let's say that you want to really leverage the purchasing power of your multiple businesses. And so you've bought several pieces of machinery. Well, now you want to split that in transactions. So here you see an intercompany journal entry. So we'll go ahead and click on add just so you can see how this works. And again, in this scenario, we'll say that our parent company made the purchase, but they want to share that expense with a few of the child companies. So again, you can very quickly select how you want to split this up. Then you can go to your different accounts on your chart of accounts. And again, you can start splitting up that debit or credit, whatever the case may be. The nice thing is once you click save, it does both of the entries for you, the debits and the credits, across all these businesses automatically, instantly. So no more forgetting, no more wondering if you got all the debits and credits right. If you shared the expense accurately, this will do all of that work for you. Also, one other key thing is whenever you do have intercompany journal entries, sometimes that can overstate revenue or expenses. And so we also have a very similar process where you can put in manual elimination. So when you run your profit and loss, when you run your balance sheet, when you do different things, those numbers are accurate, and again, we've backed out or eliminated anything that would be duplicative. Okay. So let's step back over to multi-company one more time and go back to our overview here. And then we'll start getting into where, again, now that we've set up the foundation, now that we've accounted for different intercompany expenses, what's really the power of this? Well, you notice here's a dashboard, and unlike the main dashboard in IES, this is specific to your different companies. Okay. What's nice here is right now it's rolling up all your companies, but let's say for some reason you don't want to see all your companies, you just want to see your parent company. So we can step off, and in just a second or two, there you go. But let's say that, actually I just needed these two. So as you can see here, it's very, very simple. You can mix and match your different companies, see a quick financial snapshot, but we know sometimes you may need to dig a little deeper. And that's where this consolidated reporting comes in at. You can click on the profit and loss, and fairly similar to the dashboard we looked at, this will bring you into the actual report where you can see the individual transactions on your chart of accounts. But the same thing, it's going to default to all your companies, selecting a subset. Again, very simple. Same thing, just 1 or 2 seconds. And now you've just pulled together a customized multi-company report. And if you want to break this out even further, if you want to display or see which companies are showing up as their own individual headers, you can just go over to your display column, click companies. Now you can see the breakout, as well as we talked about earlier, those manual eliminations. So quite a bit of good things here. Really excited about, again, these are just some of the tools we've given you to help you out with multi-company management. There's much more to come and many more exciting things we can talk to you about with Intuit Enterprise Suite. One last thing I'll just call out is these insights on your reports. One of the other big things that's been mentioned from multi-company business owners is, hey, when I go to run my profit and loss, what's changed since the last time I run it? Instead of running 3 or 4 of those reports, or instead of trying to really figure out, what's the variances, why are things not quite the way I think they should be? Did I forget to bill a customer? Did I get double charged for my purchase orders, my materials I ordered? If there's any variances, these insights will actually, analyze your reports over time and let you know specifically, what's going on. And if you want to drill in, you can drill in. And in fact, you can go even all the way specifically to the transactions. So again, just really saving you a lot of time instead of digging through multiple companies, digging through multiple transactions. Now you can have some variance reporting, get right down to what's going on. Really excited about how this can help you, again, be more efficient when it comes to having multiple companies, getting the foundation set up, getting the accounting correct, and getting the reporting you need much quicker with the business insights you need right at your fingertips. So that being said, I feel like I just threw a tremendous amount at you, but I get really excited about this product. Again, if you want to deep dive further into this product, Aaliyah will talk to us in just a minute about how you can do that, and I'm going to turn it back over to her now.
Yeah, Matt, I just want to interject. You were talking about the number of hours that are wasted on manual data entry. Well, I actually can put numbers behind that. So research that we just did shows that an average of 25 hours per week are wasted on manual data entry. So the time savings from a system like this could be tremendous for a business.
Wow, 25 hours. Think about what you could do with 25 hours back. Thank you, Jamie. I appreciate that.
Thanks to you both. So a ton of information we just threw at all of you, but I just wanted to share some some insights here. This is a fairly new product, Intuit Enterprise Suite. We're new to the market, but we already have a really rapidly growing customer base that really can't say enough great things about the product. And so I just have some quotes here anecdotally, how the product has helped with their growing businesses. And just a few examples I just want to call out here. So automation has allowed us to take on more clients, which is huge. The customized and tailored reports allow us to strengthen our relationships with our customers, which again is huge because the more you know about your customers, the easier it is to figure out how to get more customers. And I know we all want more customers. And then lastly, the implementation was seamless. And so I think this is a big deal because oftentimes, we're doing things a certain way. We may have some fear around change and implementation, and just knowing that, implementing the solution is seamless, I think is a really great thing. Thanks again, everyone, for taking the time with us today. We hope you learned something. We've just scratched the surface on how Intuit Enterprise Suite can help you overcome all the challenges your growing business faces. I also want to thank my co-hosts, Jamie and Matt.
Thanks, Aaliyah. This was great. And hopefully, like Aaliyah said, you learned something today. We love bringing this information to you.
Yeah, and thanks, Aaliyah, for inviting me. And thank you, everyone who attended. It's so exciting, the things that we can do. So, and then those customer statistics, Jamie, that you shared, super exciting. Really what we want to do is, like I said, if anything that we brought up today, you have more questions, please let us know. We'd love to understand your unique needs and how Intuit Enterprise Suite can help you. But thank you so much for your time, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone.